Hello and welcome back to the Paper 1 Guided Literary Analysis of the Assessment Overview. So throughout this video we will aim to really consider what the IB are looking for through their rubric and determine exactly what is in the rubric and how we can really make the most of that to then apply that to all of our future analysis and our future discussion. So a bit of a background then. So in Paper 1 we will embark on a journey of guided literary analysis. That's the key. It's guided step by step. And this assessment is designed to test our ability to really dissect and interpret an unseen literary passage. We'll have an hour and 15 minutes. And in that time, we need to really engage deeply with one of two previously unseen literary passages. And these passages are curated to really ensure they represent a variety of literary forms from the prescribed reading list. So in the case of literature, the text types possible under literature, and to provide an overview of those. Now, obviously, it can't assess every single one, so it will change year by year to consider different text types. Each passage, whether it's a complete piece or whether it's an extract, will hold its own unique narrative and stylistic nuances. And more importantly, they are each crafted to really challenge your analytical skills. So, that said, let's delve into the heart of Paper 1 of the guided analysis, and through which we will gain a guiding question that accompanies each passage. This will prompt us to explore a specific technical or formal aspect of the text. And while it's not mandatory, as I said in the earlier video, it's not mandatory to use the IB prompt. It does serve as a helping hand to really lead the way into that analysis. That said, you don't have to use it. We will have done sufficient practice through me, through your teachers, where you'll be very familiar with a guided analysis, and perhaps you could pick out a different, stronger point from the text that would be more relevant. And so you can very easily propose a different point of entry, consider a different technical or formal element that you deem significant, obviously, and really showcase your ability to identify and delve into those elements, which in itself will showcase your understanding and critical thinking skills. Keep in mind that performance in Paper 1 is assessed according to the criteria which we'll follow, and that the maximum achievable mark for this paper is 20 points, which will be considered to reflect the depth and precision of your analysis. So we have the analysis. We go through the assessment criteria, which consists of 4 criteria, each assessing different aspects of your performance in literary analysis. So the first one is Criterion A, understanding and interpretation, which has 5 marks. This will evaluate your understanding of the text and your ability to draw reasoned conclusions from it. It also considers how well your ideas are supported and referenced by the text. In this sense, references are required. You should quote, you should cite, really draw on things, but we will consider that as we go through the analysis later. Second part is Criterion B, which is the analysis and evaluation section. This assesses the extent to which you analyze and evaluate how textual features and authorial choices shape the meaning of the text. What the author is trying to get across. Criterion C is focus and organization, which considers the organization and coherence and focus of your ideas and your presentation. Is it structured correctly? Does it flow? Is it coherent? Does it seem a bit staggered? And then lastly, Criterion D, which is language. This evaluates the clarity, variety, accuracy, and appropriateness of the language that you use to really show and talk about your text. Each of these is worth 5 points each, giving the total of 20 points. So let's consider Criterion A, understanding and interpretation. This criterion evaluates how well we comprehend the text, how well we draw reasoned conclusions from it. So let's break it down. We need to address the literal meaning of the text, which is akin to grasping what's explicitly stated on the page. What it is right there. We're talking about what you see, what you read, what you take from it straight away, first impressions. And without diving into deeper interpretation, because that's when you begin to hit Criterion B. So consider you're reading a story. What's happening in the plot? Who are the characters? What themes are being explored? That's all the literal meaning. Okay? So then from that, we have the rubric, 0 to 5 points. So throughout this video, we'll consider all criterions, and we will explore each section of the criterion 1 through 5 and really address how we can get the most points from each section. So exploring level 1, where understanding is perhaps at its most basic. Here, it's almost like we're standing at the edge of the landscape. We're only catching glimpses of what lies beyond. So imagine reading the story, but we're not quite hitting those crucial plot points, or we're misinterpreting those character motivations. Almost the same as, I guess, seeing the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg, and assuming that just the tip is all there is of the iceberg, when in reality we need to be considering everything under the water as well. So level 1 responses demonstrate little comprehension of the literal meaning of the text. Essentially a puzzle with only a few pieces. You might get an overall picture, but it's not complete. So you might struggle to really summarize the main events or identify those key themes, which results in a somewhat fragmented analysis. Okay. So why might these answers fall short? Well, perhaps the text wasn't read closely enough, or there wasn't enough engagement with the text. And so without that solid understanding of the text meaning, it's difficult to move beyond that surface level analysis, and which kind of makes references to the text therefore a little bit sparse or a little bit irrelevant. So it can be difficult. That said, if we find ourselves in that level 1 section, it's not a problem. That's why we're here. That's why we're studying. It's just an opportunity to really pause, to reassess, and dive back into a text with a fresher perspective. So we have to remember that the literal meaning is the first step toward unlocking deeper layers of interpretation. So hopefully we were going beyond that, so we can consider how we can get past it. So considering then part 2. And here is where our understanding begins to develop a little bit further. We've taken that first step into the landscape, but we're still finding our bearings. We understand some parts of the story more than we did in part 1, but we're still struggling with other areas. So our interpretations might be a little bit sporadic. Our references not always quite hitting the mark. So at this level, our analysis, our understanding is beginning to take shape, and we're starting to piece together the plot. We're starting to identify those key characters and recognize those central themes. And coming back to the puzzle, it's essentially we're assembling the puzzle where the edges have started to come together, but there's still gaps in the middle. So our interpretations from here are starting to emerge, although they're still a bit inconsistent. So we have areas of insight, areas that we're hitting, other areas which we still haven't quite uncovered the deeper meanings of the text. So we have to go a little bit further than that. Likewise, in this section, our references to the text may be not quite deep enough. So yes, we have some. They're beginning to support our interpretations, but they're not yet fully developed. Or we're quoting passages from the text, but they may not always relate to the analysis that we're trying to put across or support our arguments effectively. So in level 2, we're in the process of understanding and interpreting our text. We're starting to grasp those basics and make those connections, but there's still room for that growth. There's still room for refinement. So we'll still continue with that practice. We'll still continue with that engagement, but we can get higher. Okay, taking us to level 3. Here, we're showcasing a satisfactory understanding of the text. We're not just summarizing what happens. We're going deeper. We're now taking that painting from the distance, and now we're getting up close. We're considering those brushstrokes. We're considering the style. We're interpreting the implications of a text, and our references to the text now are much more relevant. At this level, our understanding of the literal meaning of the text is becoming more nuanced. We're now able to identify those themes, those motives, and we're beginning to explore how they interact to shape the meaning of the text. So we're getting deeper. We're piecing together the puzzle, and each piece now is contributing to a larger picture. We have the edges. We have some pieces, and now we're really getting into the middle pieces also. So our interpretations based on this are moving beyond that surface level. We're considering the underlying messages, we're considering the themes, and we're going beyond what's explicitly stated. We're reading between those lines, and we're uncovering the deeper meanings of the text and what's hidden in the text. With this then, our references to the text are also becoming more purposeful. So we're not just quoting passages or sections, we're using evidence that directly supports the points that we're trying to make. We're really engaging critically with the text and using evidence to really substantiate those claims. So level 3, we really made quite significant strides in understanding and interpreting our text. We've gone past those surface level observations. We're continuing to practice. We can still take that a little bit further into section 4, hopefully. So here we're entering the realm of thorough understanding. We have moved from exploring the surface of the lake, if you wish, to going into the depth. We're going underwater, we're seeing what's there. Our understanding of the literal meaning is thorough. It's no longer just comprehensive, as we saw in 3, it's thorough. We've gone beyond it. We're leaving no stone unturned. We're really committing to the analysis. So at this level, our interpretations are not only convincing, they're also nuanced. So we're delving into the implications of the text with precision and uncovering layers of meaning that may not be immediately apparent in the text. So we're detectives, we're solving a complex mystery, and now we've gone beyond that direct evidence of the pieces we've seen, and we're actually going beyond that to the meanings, what they mean, what could be inferred from them, and which means our references to the text are also not just supporting our interpretations, they're strengthening them. So we're selecting evidence from the text with care. We're choosing passages that directly contribute to our analysis, and they bolster our arguments. So we're building really solid foundations to really prove our points with references from the text. And then we move on to the section 5. In this section is the peak. Okay, so level 5, full marks, is where we're entering the realm of truly perceptive understanding. We've dove deep into the lake, and now we're really considering everything at the bottom, the middle, the surface, the whole process. We're not just seeing what is written, we're seeing what is implied, we're seeing what is hinted at, we're seeing what's suggested, we're seeing that complete picture of everything the author wanted us to see. Our understanding is not just thorough, as we saw in 4, it's perceptive. So we're really able to discern the subtle differences and intricacies that lie beneath the surface of the text. At this level, our interpretations are convincing and insightful. We're not just analyzing, we're also offering up our own new perspectives, uncovering layers of meaning that other people may not have considered. So we're really going beyond, we're going deep, we're really analyzing and assessing things that possibly nobody else has considered up until now. You're really showing your interpretations of the text and what you can extract from the text. In conjunction with this, we also have the references. So the references to the text in this case are now enhancing them. You have gone beyond just selecting evidence to choosing passages that really resonate with those core themes that you've chosen, and they really deepen the understanding of the message you are trying to share. In this sense, we are really using the evidence from the text to weave that tapestry, to really focus on and share and strengthen everything that you put into your message. So in this level, we're not just considering the text, we're placing it also within a broader context. We're considering the implications and its resonance beyond those immediate boundaries. And we're instead connecting it to larger themes, to larger ideas and movements, and exploring the significance in a wider literary landscape, which is super important to keep in mind as we go through the course, as we consider other texts and analysis, to really consider and remember those themes that we're looking at, those ideas, those movements, and how they can really be incorporated into your essays, your answers, because this is truly what will get you into the level 5 boundary of the rubric. Moving on then to Criterion B, the analysis and evaluation section. This is hopefully going to serve as a compass that helps you through the terrain of textual analysis. So it's another very important section that we will consider throughout. We will have an entire section dedicated to textual analysis. But in doing so, we again want to know what the IB require. So this criterion will serve as the guide to what they want. A key point here then is to consider to what extent the candidate analyzes and evaluates how textual features and or authorial choices shape meaning. Okay, so we consider, again, the rubric, and we can think of this as our guidebook to the labyrinth of literary works. So we need to really be considering everything, considering the understanding the intricate relationship between textual features and meanings. And again, as I mentioned in the overview, we'll hear throughout the videos also, texts are not just collections of works. They are very carefully, for the most part, carefully crafted compositions where every element of a text serves a purpose. And be it the choice of words or the structure, the sentences, imagery, the development of characters, each aspect contributes to the overall meaning of the text and gives us some insight into what the author wanted. So for us, as literary detectives, our task throughout this criterion is to really unravel the mysteries hidden within the text. We will analyze how the author's choices of language, of narrative perspectives, stylistic devices, how they all influence our interpretations of the text. And we'll consider how these symbols and motifs and themes recur throughout the text to shape our understandings of the deeper layers. So taking that into account, let's consider the criterion. We will again work through the 5 and address what is expected of the 5 criteria. So criterion 1. This is the starting point of the analytical journey. So here we are beginning to share some responses and they are somewhat descriptive. Here we're offering little relevant analysis of textual features and or authorial choices. So essentially just skimming the surface of the text without truly understanding the depth of the text. Here we may find ourselves more narrating what is happening in the text or listing components that come within the text without really delving into the significance of those elements. So while we may recognize aspects such as characters, such as settings, such as plot points, the analysis is very superficial and doesn't have much depth or insight. So at this level, we are struggling to move beyond that summarization, beyond that surface level account of the text, and rather than engaging with its complexities, we're just summarizing. Maybe from responses which lack engagement with the textual features, or we're not really considering the significance of the language or the imagery, the symbolism that comes within the text, essentially meaning we've missed those opportunities for deeper analysis. So level 1 is a very foundational step in the analytical journey where we're just beginning to explore that terrain of textual analysis, but it's a starting point. Okay, without saying, right, this is completely wrong, it's hitting some points. It's not a 0. So hitting part 1, hitting criterion 1 is putting us onto the road to further textual analysis. And from there, we can begin to progress and build upon this descriptive observations to develop more insightful observations into the text. If we're listing certain textual features that come within the text, it's only a step further to truly analyzing them. Step 2 is a step forward. It's where we begin to transition from just a descriptive response to incorporating some analysis of textual features. We are stepping onto this path. There's a faint light where the terrain is becoming a little bit clearer, but we still can't see the edges of the path. We can just see the path and the line of the path, but we can't see what's beyond that. So there's still more to grow. There's still room to grow, but it's the direction that we want. In level 2 then, we are demonstrating some appropriate analysis of textual features, but the analysis remains reliant on description. So we are still recognizing certain elements within text and we're still examining them to a degree, but this examination still lacks depth. It lacks that critical thinking, that insight. But it is at this level where we are beginning to identify them and we can perhaps name them, such as similes or metaphors or foreshadowing, and we can acknowledge their presence in the text. However, the analysis of them in the text may be limited to just identifying them without fully exploring their significance or impact on the text. So there's that room to pass, there's that room to grow. Level 2 responses also struggle to go beyond that surface level. We're seeing that path. And they're just providing descriptions of the features without truly considering the broader implications. And that said, it's level 2 where we may be beginning to recognize elements such as character traits or plot events, but we haven't really considered the true depth of their significance or contribution to the narrative. Again, without it coming across as level 2 being not good enough, level 2 is definitely on the right path, on the direction, and it is there to provide us with a path to follow to gain the higher numbers, to gain those bigger steps. So it is a massive stepping stone in the analytical journey, because it's a stage where you're beginning to recognize the importance of analysis, and you're starting to incorporate it into your responses. So with more practice, more guidance from me, from teachers, we can push that into the higher boundaries, such as, for example, part 3. This is quite a significant milestone in that learners demonstrate in Criterion 3, they demonstrate an appropriate analysis of textual features. So coming to your path again, you're now beginning to see beyond the path. The lights are a little bit brighter, so you can see more. Maybe there's more animals hiding in the garden that you're just beginning to see, which you couldn't when you were just describing the path and the lights were on dim. In level 3, learners, you are showing much bigger ability to really analyze textual features and authorial choices in a manner that goes beyond just descriptions. You're beginning to examine how these elements really contribute to the text meaning, and you're giving your own insights into how that enhances your understanding. Here also, you're going beyond the surface level observations. You're starting to explore the significance of the textual features. So you may be identifying those literary devices, those techniques, and you're also analyzing how they contribute to the development of the themes or characters or narratives. This level also shows that you have an understanding of the broader context in which the text is situated. So you're beginning to consider the historical or the cultural or societal influences that shape the author's choices. And you're beginning to analyze how these factors really impact the text meaning and interpretation. That said, level 3 still shows room for improvement. You still could get that 5. So in much the same way that 1 is on the direction to 3, 3 is on the direction to 5. And so there is room to refine that analysis further, to dive deeper into the complexities of the text and cover more meaning, as those considered in 4. So 4 shows a very appropriate and at times insightful analysis of the textual features and choices. You are ascending to a higher vantage point, essentially. And with that higher vantage point, you're gaining a clearest perspective on the intricacies of the text and the messages that are coming within the text. So level 4, you're showcasing a more refined ability to analyze the textual features. You are beginning to offer interpretations that are convincing and insightful. They by now have gone past surface level observations, and you're delving deeper into the text nuances to really uncover those layers of meaning that are not immediately apparent. That's the key. At this level also, you're demonstrating a much keener understanding of how textual features contribute to the text's overall meaning. So you can analyze the use of language, imagery, symbolism, narrative techniques in detail. You're examining how all of these elements come together to shape our interpretations of the text and how they enhance its thematic resonance. Level 4 also shows that you have insights that go beyond just the text itself, and they consider the broader implications of the author's choices. And you may be considering how these choices reflect societal, cultural, historical context. And you're beginning to shed light on the larger thematic concerns or universal truth apparent from the text. So that's so close to Criterion 5. So Criterion 5 is where you're really representing the pinnacle of the analytical journey. You hit everything that the IB wants you to hit. And you're really demonstrating insightful, convincing, deep analysis of textual features and authorial choices. You're reaching the summit of the mountain, to use the same metaphor as before. The view now from the very top on a hot, warm, sunny day, no clouds, you can see everything. So your view is expansive. You see every detail of the landscape and how clear and precise it is coming into focus. So here you're showcasing a really exceptional ability to analyze the textual features and authorial choices. You are offering interpretations that are insightful and compelling, but deeper than those of level 4. You are uncovering all of the hidden meanings and illuminating the text complexities with clarity. Level 5 shows you are really demonstrating a profound understanding of how those textual features are shaping meaning. You're exploring that interplay between language and structure and thematic resonance, and you're analyzing the choices made by the author with precision. You're really dissecting each aspect of the text. Level 5 also transcends the text itself. As we saw with Criterion A, it goes beyond just the text, and it considers the broader implications within the literary landscape. So you're examining how the text engages with bigger cultural, philosophical, or historical debates, and you're giving interpretations on that, and even possibly including elements of like talks with enduring questions of human existence, how this was created, why it was created. So level 5 is going beyond just the textual features, beyond evaluating their effectiveness. It is considering the text as a whole, every aspect of the text, and then reading into it, into areas of the text that were not even considered before, making for the perfect answer. So there's A, that's B. Now moving on to part C. Part C is a criterion that evaluates how well we organize and cohere our answer and how well we focus our ideas. So part C is essentially the framework of our analysis. It ensures our ideas flow logically and that our focus is sharp. In terms of our literary analysis, understanding how to effectively structure and present our ideas, which are things that we will consider in the course, is all falling into part C. So how are we presenting those ideas that we're trying to share? How are we deciphering things? Are we making sure the answer flows? This criterion is essentially the compass that will guide us through the process of really organizing our thoughts and maintaining the focus of our analysis. At its core, Criterion C challenges us to structure our ideas in a coherent and organized manner and ensure that our analysis unfolds with clarity and precision. As a skilled architect would plan the layout of a building, in Criterion C, we need to carefully arrange our text and components of our text to create the solid foundation for our arguments. So moving into the rubric then is a simpler rubric than A and B. There's less to consider. That said, we will still consider parts 1 through 5. So part 1 of Criterion C shows the starting point in the journey. We are just beginning to encounter responses characterized by a little bit of organization, but there's not much focus. I mean, imagine walking through, again, your pathway, but it's very foggy. Like you can't see much. You're trying to figure out if the path goes left or right, or if it disappeared completely. Okay, so Criterion C is very much that we need to disperse that fog, we need to illuminate the path, and we have our way forward. Here, we may struggle to structure ideas in a coherent manner. It may be a little bit disjointed, a bit fragmented, trying to piece together the puzzle without knowing where the puzzle pieces fit, putting edge pieces in the middle pieces on the edge, and resulting in a somewhat jumbled, disconnected process of ideas that don't form a cohesive whole. So part 1 then is lacking that clear structure. It's difficult for readers to follow, and it doesn't provide much of a map, so readers will get lost. Okay, that said, it is part 1, so there's room for improvement. We're on the criterion, we're going in the right direction. We should have to take it a little bit further, process a little bit further to how we can get to the higher criterion. So to take it further onto Criterion 2, it is beginning to progress our understanding. It shows we recognize a little bit of what is required of Criterion C and shows that we're stepping forward in that journey. We're beginning to organize, we're beginning to focus. And we're beginning to see some improvement from part one. So focus is still limited, and we're finding and we're footing on that path. The fog is beginning to disperse, and meaning progress is being made. We're going forward, although sometimes our direction is, we're still not quite sure. So this section, we're demonstrating that we are beginning to recognize the structure. We have our ideas and we're beginning to put them in the right directions. And in that there is some grouping of related ideas, related points. There's a rudimentary introduction, conclusion, and just emphasizing that you have a basic understanding of those organizational principles. And that said, the overall focus of the response is still limited. So ideas may still lack a clear central theme or clear argument, and meaning we still have a text that feels a bit disjointed or a bit disfocused. So these answers seem to struggle to maintain coherence throughout the entire response. So there is some semblance of organization in sections, while other parts of the response may lack that clarity or that progression, leading to inconsistencies overall. Level 2, we're also missing those transitions, making it difficult for a reader to follow the progression of an answer. So without those signposts, firstly, therefore, because of, we become a bit disjointed. We can't quite follow things correctly. So yes, it still presents challenges. There's still a struggle on focus and coherence, but it's still that learning opportunity. You're still heading in the right direction. So it's still a matter of just embracing it, going with it, and maintaining your focus, your coherence, really driving with it. And together we will continue, build on it until we get and hit those higher criteria. Criterion 3 is a big milestone. It means that we are progressing past the somewhat disjointed answers, and we are beginning to show evidence of organization and focus. Learners are demonstrating a good and adequate organization of ideas in a generally coherent manner. So yes, there's still some room for improvement. So on our path in the forest, whatever, we are making progress. We're heading in the direction. The fog may have dissipated. The lights are not quite bright enough. And there's some obstacles in the path that we have to navigate, we have to go around. But we're on the path, we're going in the right direction. Here, you're showcasing a more coherent presentation of ideas. You have a structure that guides you through a response. And there's a clear sense of organization with ideas that are logically arranged. They transition smoothly. Level 3 is also gives a focus on the central argument or thesis of your answer. So perhaps while the focus may not be as sharp as possible, it could be sharper. There's a direction, there's a very discernible attempt at maintaining that cohesive narrative that revolves around that central theme or idea. But again, as with 1, with 2, if you're in 3, there's still room to progress. There's still room to get to level 4, level 5. And because there's still some inconsistencies. So certain sections are lacking that clarity or that logical progression, leading to occasional lapses in coherence. Okay, this is key in determining for IB where they will draw the boundaries, how they will differ between a 3 and a 4, for example. If you are mostly correct, but there's some lapses, that will become the 3. So these sections then benefit from stronger transitions and some indication of progression to show that we're moving between ideas and really using those transitions to help. Then takes us into Criterion 4. This is beginning to really show effective organization and focus. Here, you're demonstrating a well-organized presentation of ideas that are mostly coherent and a response that is adequately focused. So on the path, it's clear. You can see your destination. It's within reach. It's there. The fog is gone. The lights are around. And there's an occasional obstacle, but you can see it there. This means then that you're showcasing a very well-structured response. Ideas are logically arranged, transition smoothly between sections. and the answer flows coherently, meaning readers can really follow it with a clear progression of thought and what you're aiming to do. Level 4 responses maintain a very consistent focus on the central argument or thesis, and each of those ideas that you're putting forward contribute directly to the overarching narrative of your answer. And there are no unnecessary tangents or distractions in your answer. It's all relevant to the point you're trying to make. And that said, level 4 responses, yes, they show proficiency in organization and focus. There's still room for improvement. You can still go for that 5. So certain sections of the response may lack a certain amount of depth or a certain amount of complexity, leading to moments where the coherence of the analysis falters a little bit, meaning it just misses a 5. Level 4 responses could also benefit from slightly stronger connection between ideas. So yes, transitions are present, they're there, but they could be used slightly more effectively to help guide the reader throughout. And which leads to then Criterion 5, which is the top. So again, full marks, and really shows completely effective organization and focus. Here, it shows that you have demonstrated a very well effectively organized presentation of ideas. They're coherent, they're compelling, and it's well focused. And you're on your path, it's lovely and bright, there's flowers around, a straight path, straight to the end, to the gate that you can pass through. It's a clear passage through now. So level 5 shows an impeccable answer. It really shows that you have a structured response with each aspect really carefully arranged to support that central argument or thesis. And your analysis flows seamlessly with transitions that really effortlessly guide all the readers through the analysis. Level 5 shows essentially a laser-sharp focus on the central argument of the theme. So you really narrowed it down. Every idea, every example, every analysis contributes directly to this overarching narrative. And there's no extraneous details or unnecessary distractions. Level 5 answers also show a true depth of analysis, a real complex thoughts that really elevate the coherence of a response to the pinnacle level, the top level, where you can really consider all the nuances of the text. You offer insights that are profound, illuminating, alongside those mastery transitions, those seamless ideas to create a fluid and engaging narrative. Okay, it becomes perfect. These transitions serve to guide the reader, but also to enhance the overall coherence, the impact of the response. They make the answer flow, fluid, and give the readers just a perfect bam, 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 bam. In level 5, it is the pinnacle of organization and focus. So the responses are effectively organized, well focused, and it's an analysis that is not only coherent and compelling, but it is also insightful and impactful. Okay. And then we move on to Criterion D, language. So for the exploration of Criterion D, we need to consider these points. So how clear and varied and accurate is the language? How appropriate is the choice of register and style? And in this case, register is the context to the candidate's use of elements such as vocabulary, tone, sentence structure, and terminology appropriate to the analysis. So in this criterion, we need to consider how we use language to really convey our ideas. We need to examine the clarity, the variety, the accuracy, and appropriateness of our language. So we are fine-tuning an instrument through which we can really communicate our analysis and interpretation of a text. Language is our medium of expression. It allows us to really articulate our thoughts with true precision. So throughout Criterion D, we'll explore how effectively we can wield this tool of language to make to get our top scores in IB. And from this clarity, it will show also evidence of our register, our style, and all aspects of language that play that crucial role in shaping our analysis. So considering our journey on Criterion D, this is the rubric below. And as before, we will progress through each of the 5 rubric, how to get those different points and what we are perhaps doing or not doing to hit each point. So beginning with level 1, where our language may face somewhat significant challenges in clarity, in accuracy, and appropriateness. So in level 1, language may hinder the communication of our ideas, and sentences may be convoluted or unclear, making it difficult for a reader to really grasp the intended meaning, and essentially like trying to decipher a message through a foggy window where the clarity is obscured by, again, the fog or condensation on the window. So we can't see through it. It's too blurry. So language 1 can also be riddled with errors in grammar, in vocabulary, and sentence construction. These obviously impede understanding and distract from the overall quality of the response. So again, our path, but this time we can see our path, but there's obstacles everywhere. We can't walk in a straight line without tripping over things, getting in the way. So at this one, we are also not getting the correct register or style appropriate to the task. It may be too informal or too formal for the context that we've chosen. So it's in the right direction. We're on the rubric, but we're finding it very challenging to really express those ideas clearly and accurately. And we're creating hindrance through errors that are getting in the way of understanding, of reader understanding. So then moving on to Criterion 2. Here we continue the journey. We're moving up, so we had things in a better direction, and we've shown improvement from level 1, which is fantastic. That said, there are still areas that require refining. So again, the language here is sometimes clear and carefully chosen. However, we may have some effort to express those ideas with clarity. We're selecting words thoughtfully to the best of our ability to really convey our intended meaning, but there's still room for further refinement. Maybe we're not quite choosing the correct words all the time. So here, despite these language issues, we're also hitting problems with more errors in grammar or vocabulary and sentence construction, albeit less frequently than in level 1. But they're still getting in the way of communication. So these errors are still stopping us from understanding the answer properly or flowing with the answer. Style and tone here are also still an issue, but it does show an attempt to use the correct style, the correct tone, but it may not be always fully realized or fully correct. So here, overall, is progress. It's not level 1. We're, again, heading in the right direction, but there's still room to continue our language skills. We can still enhance and better our clarity, our effectiveness, leading into Criterion 3. Here, we're really showing that we understand, and we can now begin to demonstrate clear, carefully chosen language, which is fantastic. We are beginning to showcase that clear foundation in expressing our ideas with clarity, with precision, and specifically in the context of literary analysis, which is fantastic. Level 3 also shows that we are using language to adeptly convey ideas clearly and effectively. Our sentences now are well constructed. We are allowing for precise communication of analytical insights. We are fine-tuning the instrument. So now each note resonates with clarity and purpose, with managing to tune it perfectly, but maybe we still can't play the music correctly. So at level 3, we're demonstrating a satisfactory degree of accuracy in grammar and vocabulary and sentence construction. So it's correct, which is fantastic. And this contributes to the coherence and effectiveness of communication. On top of this, there is mostly appropriate use of register and style. Now, learners are able to adapt language to suit the literary analysis, to make things correct, to enhance the overall impact of the analysis. But there's still that change. There's still progression into Criterion 4. This, as before, is a big change. This shows still considerable growth into level 4 and shows a mastery of language in which you employed it with clarity, with precision, with effectiveness to really convey those analytical insights and get across the message that you want to get across. Level 4 shows clear and carefully chosen language, also shows a good degree of precision in conveying those nuanced ideas. By now, your sentences are well crafted. They allow for the seamless communication of ideas, whilst also going into analytical interpretations. So now you've gone past fine-tuning your instrument to conducting your orchestra. Here, the notes now are well-timed, they're harmonized, they create the symphony of meaning, but there may be some elements of your orchestra that are a little not quite there, which would be moving into level 5. And level 4, you have shown a real mastery of grammar, vocabulary, sentence construction, and words that you used are chosen with intention. They contribute to the effectiveness of the analysis. There is also in Criterion D a consistent use of effective register and tone. Emphasis on consistent. It flows throughout, there's no slips. You adeptly adapt your language for the context of this literary analysis to enhance the persuasiveness of your arguments. Level 4 really represents a true mastery of communication literary analysis. It shows that you really have hit the rubric in showing those like clear expression, the language, the mastery of language mechanics, and the consistent register and style. But it's not 5. So moving forward into 5 then, the last part of the rubric, this is the epitome of mastery in language use of literary analysis. This is the top, the best that you can get with IB. And this one section showcases an unparalleled mastery of the language. And you've used language to really show exceptional clarity, exceptional precision, effectiveness to really convey your insights into the analysis perfectly. At this level, language is clear and incredibly effective and incredibly precise. It really showcases your ability to convey complex analytical interpretations, and it really showcases how you've crafted such impeccable sentences, a variety of simple, complex grammar, really muddled up, changed so that you've incorporated everything into your answer, which all combined allows for a seamless communication of nuanced ideas. In your orchestra, level 5 is the perfect orchestra. I would quote the London Symphony Orchestra: everything's in tune, everything works, everything's fine, you're at the front, hitting everything perfectly. Level 5 also shows an impeccable mastery of grammar, vocabulary, and sentence construction. You have hit everything perfectly. It's coherent, it's accurate, each word is chosen with care. You've gone beyond the common language. You're using vocabulary that's different, it's varied, it's strong, and it really helps the answer that you're trying to portray. Alongside the perfect use of register and style throughout your entire answer, and really using language to suit the context of literary analysis. You've enhanced the persuasiveness, you've enhanced the impact, you've strengthened your argument, your answer is perfect. So this is where you've hit the end of the rubric. You've hit potentially 1 to 5 in all 5, which just gives us to a quick overview where you can see the rubric all there. And you can see that this structure framework really serves as a cornerstone for assessing your proficiency in literary analysis. It's a comprehensive criteria, yes, but this rubric provides a fantastic roadmap for us as learners as we're working through the course to really consider how we're evaluating, understanding, interpreting that analysis, that evaluation, that focus, that organization, really considering everything to really consider how we can deepen our understanding of the complexities of literary text and how we can put that into our rating. By adhering to this rubric's guidelines, we are ensuring a very fair and consistent and rigorous assessment process, and we're acknowledging all those different perspectives. Like IB will not be discerning your points of view, more how they're shown. So that is the end of the paper 1 overview. The next video we will consider paper 2, and after that the internal assessment. So I look forward to seeing you for the next one. We will be considering very much the same. We will consider what is required of paper 2, and then again consider the breakdown, the percentages, and how we can adhere to each part of the rubric. So I will see you then. Bye bye.